Hey guys, Marshall here again. It's been a while since we uploaded, but today we are continuing what we talked about in previous episodes that I posted a couple weeks ago, and that is reaching a scientific method of creating an understanding rather than preaching or politicizing or prosecuting ideas and things like that without creating the theory. And so the process here, you probably learned about this probably in high school. They talk about in science classes. You start with an observation, um, then you create a hypothesis. So this is the early stages where a lot of people that are coming up with these ideas, and this happens to me all the time. I actually recently, over the past few years, I've been creating all these different ideas, and even in this mentoring 365, we created a bunch of different ideas, and basically most of them are from other people that have done experiments. And so in this example, my channel, there is a lack of experimentation, and that is a crucial part of this process. You have the observation, you have the hypothesis, where you create the statement that you believe is true or not. Then you experiment to basically find data, an understanding of whether or not this is actually a pattern that could be created into a theory, and then you get your result after the experiment, and you hopefully you have people that you can ask to peer review this sort of hypothesis you have, and then the peer reviews come back and they all come back in the same way, and you have very constructive people reviewing as peers, and you can create a theory out of this. And so this example reminds me also of Neil deGrasse Tyson sort of doing a peer review over somebody that created these theories of how the universe has these certain patterns, and he used explanations off of hypotheses that were not true. And so Neil deGrasse Tyson kind of just tore apart his analysis in his paper because he had made all these theories based off of hypotheses that weren't true, and examples that just were proven that were proven wrong a long time ago. And so if you don't have access to all of this data, this experimental data, then you end up creating these hypotheses, and then they don't become theories. And I don't know if everybody out there is really as into science as I am, but I just marvel behind the fact that this isn't something that's really common in our world. It's very common in the scientific field because it's a practice of them constantly doing this. And I think we get away from the science of experimentation, and a lot of times we just accept hypotheses that we see everywhere throughout the world, and we don't develop our own hypotheses. And right now, I've made episodes where I talked about my experimentation in the crypto investing area, and how I do have a theory that, or I do have a hypothesis that I am outweighing my risk with the amount of upside in these sort of cryptocurrencies. So this sort of hypothesis has yet to be proven yet. I'm in this sort of area where I have gotten other information and data that has sort of coincided with this because I listen to a lot of investing podcasts and investing books, and that high volatility does have the potential for high returns. And a lot of these there's books on compounding investments in a way of targeting the smaller market cap companies actually have way more potential of creating 100 baggers, which is like 100% returns, I believe, or maybe more than that. I think it's like, maybe that's like 1,000% return, 100 bagger. But I take this information from this data from people that have a background of years and years of investing, and I don't take this information from guys that give me responses that are not based off of years of investing. And so I've created my own sort of hypothesis on this, and it could be wrong because this is a different area. Cryptocurrency is different than the general investment field, stocks and things like that. But I do have a lot of healthy peer mentors in a way that I can basically create these strong or reinforce these theories with my own experience. And then you also have to understand things change, especially in the investment world. Things change. The 40-60 stock to bond ratio has failed recently, and it has failed before. And so I just recently am reading this book on Tony Robbins, The Holy Grail of Investment, and he talks about maximizing diversification by getting into private equities and private credit, and actually the firms that manage the private equity and private credit. And so just recently my eyes have opened to a whole new world in investing because of that, because I'm, like I said, over the last couple of years I just got into this. So in this book, and similar to his last book he did on investing, he has 45-minute segments after he created these sort of these theories. After he created a bunch of theories on private equity, private credit off of data, he went and he did chapters on specific investors that are at the top of their particular expertise, whether it's enterprise investing, sports investing, all. And there's like, over the last 5 days, I spent about 45 minutes listening to each one of these guys, and this is a 45-minute segment of these guys, their background in the last 20 to 40 years of investing. So it's extremely important for someone to find these sort of find these theories from people that have been experimenting for 20 to 40 years, and it's right there. It's right. This sort of material is out there for people, and I think it's going over a lot of people's heads, and they'd rather get the quick information on YouTube. And sometimes I do too. Sometimes I like to get the quick information instead of the core theory. And so I've sort of developed more towards this mindset of looking at reviews and getting this information, this data off of these experiments. Recently, I've looked at experiments on longevity study by Harvard. They call him like the father of anti-aging, I think is what the father of anti-aging This one guy, he actually wrote a book on anti-aging, or a book on aging and things like that. And a lot of people ended up doing counter-analysis to his studies and finding that there wasn't enough evidence for it to show that it was a true experiment. And then he sort of basically came back and said, you're not doing the studies correctly, in a way. And so there's all this sort of gray area, and if you don't do enough research, you won't even understand that there's a gray area there in that experiment where you don't know whether it's true or not. If you just take one person's side of it and you don't look at the other reviews and things like that, you're going to end up creating these false theories, these theories that have not been counter-analyzed by other peers. And that's just such an extremely important thing, is to surround yourself with peers that have the expertise to even have a correct counter-analysis of these experiments or these results, so that you can figure out if it's a null experiment or a good one. And then on like a fundamental level, you do deal with all of these sort of hypotheses that you create in your mind. And if you're not someone that thinks about this in a scientific level or a theory level, you create these hypotheses in your mind, and you can't even actually regulate these hypotheses that might even keep you up at night. These ideas that you may not be good enough, or things that are in your conscious mind that sort of just kind of spark into your brain these ideas that don't even exactly make sense, false fears and false feedback and all these things that you're creating through your perception of the world. And so everybody really does need to embody themselves in a way of scientific exploration of the world. Like there's one of these guys in particular in the Robbins audiobook started out as being extremely interested in science. So he had a background of science before he even got into investing. I think he went it was in college for some sort of physics or something like that. I don't know I can't remember what it was, but that background in science, he didn't really talk about that much influencing his decision making. But I thought, wow, this might have been one of the reasons why this guy became a great investor, is because he thought about things in the scientific manner. He thought about, how can I create a actual theory that'll work over and over and over again, and those theories can really build the wealth for you. This creation of correct theories can build up your perception of the world. It's almost like your belief system is almost like a theory system. And so you want to strengthen your belief systems with things that you can prove right, in a way. Your success could be proven right if you constantly work at it. Like, you're not a businessman in particular until your business is a success. And then all of a sudden, if your business never even succeeds, you might not even ever think of yourself as a businessman, even though you kind of are. And so I've experienced in my life, when my brother and I were running a landscaping business, I had peers that were like, this isn't even a business because you're not doing patios and stuff. This isn't landscaping. You're not doing patios, and you're not doing flower bed designs. And I'm like, well, you just aren't seeing the stuff that we're doing. You're not seeing that part. You're creating these theories off of, or these hypotheses that you aren't even seeing the whole scale of things. And so those sort of that sort of feedback will even, like, it'll wear on you in a way. These stupid things that people say will wear on you, and so you have to make sure you're around constructive criticism and good constructive feedback, and people that are actually practicing peer reviews with research. I've had a lot of people talk to me. I come up with these things. I start talking about longevity, and the supplements I'm taking for longevity, and I didn't even understand the full scale of things. But also, I was told you need to do more research. You need to do more research. There's people that were telling me to do more research, were not doing any research at all. So they're coming in basically saying this sounds like a hypothesis, and then the next time around, whenever I talked about it, I talked about the counter reviews of the observation, and I talked about the faults in the experiment, and then I also talked about how it wasn't one supplement that was supposed to help you with longevity. It was two supplements working together, and so a lot of these reviews were on the one supplement in particular, whereas the combination of the two supplements were supposed to work together to help your cellular regrowth and things like that. But I'm not gonna talk about the supplements I'm taking, because I don't want to promote these things, because I don't even know the full scale of things. I don't know. It's really hard to even create a strong theory amongst these experiments that were done on rats and not as much human trials, and a lot of placebo effects and all this stuff. It's really difficult, but if you can spend enough time thinking in the scientific mindset, you get closer to the correct theories, and you can sort of, hopefully, you can develop these theories early in life, and it isn't something that takes you 20 to 40 years. And so these guys that have 20 to 40 years experience, that are giving you information on how you can construct your life to better yourself, that information, that condensed information has taken that person 20 to 40 years, is just so important to soak up this information versus information that is just, mainstream BS at times. So find a way to be systematic about developing these theories, these coherent theories, and become your own version of a scientist in a way, to better yourself in the future, and not just be at the effect of life. Instead, be at the cause. Develop your theories and your belief systems, and try to prove your belief systems right. Try to prove your belief that you can change the world with content creation. Try to prove it right. Maybe it'll take you 10 years to prove it right. A lot of people, it takes them 10 years to sort of become impactful YouTube channels in the world, things like that. So I can't stress how important this is, so that you don't live in a world of false beliefs and unproven beliefs and unproven hypothesis, and just really realize what is important, what really matters, what really is something that is working in the world, and grow off that and build off that and create something for yourself. Because there's so much potential, there's so much information at your fingertips, there's so many ways that you can cross reference these sort of hypotheses and these theories, and look at the experiments and debunk them or agree with them. Don't stray from how important science is in this world. And there's a lot of different hypotheses in this Mentoring 365 channel that I like to be able to prove in the future to be theories. So as I've sort of calmed down and I haven't been uploading as much, I'd like to even look at a lot of my videos in the past, and maybe even see if we can experiment on these in the future. See if we can create these tests to figure out how true they are, to be our own scientists, to develop our own way of seeing the world, and surround ourselves with people that will help that and aid in that development and encourage the development of each other, so that we can have really strong, healthy belief systems and really strong interactions with each other, and stray away from being a preacher just preaching ideas, or a politician trying to get people to like them, and instead develop these views through science and understanding. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was a really important episode for me to get out and talk to you guys about. I've been thinking about this for weeks. I was actually thinking, how can I pull this together? How can I pull all this together? And I only have a few notes here. I promise you, I have about five words that I really expanded on in this entire video. And sometimes I think, how am I going to create a 20-minute episode with just these 5 things? And all of a sudden I get into it, and I'm proving to myself that I can do these things that I didn't even particularly think I was going to have a good enough episode with content. So just make sure you're not creating these limiting beliefs that are just kind of hypotheses, and pull it all together. Check out my Mentoring 365 playlist. This is Plausibly Anything, where we talk about anything plausible that can help you create a better understanding of the world, and anything that can just be good entertainment too. So anything under the sun and the universe and the great architect of the universe, we're gonna talk about, guys. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.